Hey up, it's Steve from the Old Yorkshire Geek. Welcome to Magnificent Mondays, episode 111, 11-1, on a Tuesday. I know I should have done it yesterday, but I had a busy day yesterday, so we're doing it on a Tuesday instead. Remembrance Day. Wingrace says, pretty liberal use of the word Monday. Yes, it is. I'm sure it's Monday somewhere in the universe. It's probably Monday somewhere on Earth, maybe. Near the international date line-ish. So, but anyway. So, this week for episode 11-1, we're doing iRobot from 2004, starring Will Smith, directed by Alex Proyas. So that's what we're doing today. I was inspired to do this because I saw that video of the, I forgot what they call it, the Neo robot, which turned out to be a bit of a scam-ish. But we're entering the world, we're entering the era of household domestic android robots, aren't we? So it's kind of scary and exciting at the same time. So anywho, but before we start, hang on, just Temple's here, saying he's here. Harpoon, ready to get any stray NS5s that may be still knocking about with his harpoon. Wingrace says it's next Monday in the car. Is it? Okie dokie. That's a reference I don't get. Such is my life. I don't get any reference to it. I'm an idiot. Anyway, before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe, share the videos, drop a comment, hit the notification bell if you're subscribed already. Let's just double check. We're live on YouTube. Yes, we are. We're live on Rumble. Yes, we are. We're live on Twitch. Don't know why I keep doing Twitch. Explore the description for things for stuff like merch, which I've not got to hand, and my books. Them. Amazon Kindle and paperback. And my other channels and my other websites, and become a member and you get early access videos and exclusive videos and then live streams and stuff like that. If you become a member. Like Wingrace is a member. And other people as well. Michael and Adam Gamer and, of course, Justin34. They're my members. Is there any others I might have forgot? I think that's it. Right, so, iRobot from 2004, starring Will Smith. Obviously, based or more inspired, I don't know what you want to call it, by Isaac Asimov's book from, I think, 1950. I think it was. Yes, 1950. Which was a short story collection. I've not read it. The only book I've actually read about, from that era, classic sci-fi, is Harry Harrison's War with the Robots or War of the Robots. Can't remember, but that were good. That were a collection of short stories as well about robots and technology and stuff. But I've not read Isaac Asimov's one. But it is based on that ish. It was made into now then, was it an Outer Limits episode? Or was it a Twilight Zone episode? I think it was Outer Limits, wasn't it? Just bear with me. Just bear with me. I'm looking it up. Television. There we go. Rum to tum. Outer Limits. It was Outer. I thought it was Outer Limits, but I wasn't sure. Yes, it. Which iRobot, as in Apple. Yes, thanks Apple. Oh, hang on, where'd that go? Thanks Apple. Anyway, so kind of inspired / based on. It's got the basics of the story. As far as I've not read it, but as far as I know, as in a robot gets accused of a murder. But I think in the story, I know in the Outer Limits episode, they all went to court. It was a courtroom drama and all that, wasn't it? But that doesn't happen in this film. But anyway, directed by Alex Proyas, who'd also done The Crow, Dark City, what else? This. What else did he do? Knowing. Gods of Egypt. And apparently is directing Are You Are, a musical version of Are You Are. I forgot who wrote that now, that Czechoslovakian fella. The fella who coined the term robot. That's where it came from. He's doing a musical version of that. So I don't know what that'll be like. but that's still in development apparently. Screenplay by Jeff Vintar and Akiva Goldsman of Star Trek fame. But anyway, never mind. New Trek, should I say. Stars Will Smith, Bridget Moynihan, Bruce Greenwood, James Cromwell, and Alan Tudyk, or Tudyk. However you pronounce it, it's embarrassing for him. You'd think he'd change his name. And what else? Music by Marco Beltrami. It had a budget of, we'll say, $120 million, box office of $353 million, so I think it did okay at the box office. But I'm not sure how well it was regarded. Critical response, no, not that good. I like this film, though. I like this. I think it's a good film, and the effects in it are amazing. Weta, Digital Domain and Weta did the effects. I think they used the same technology for the robots that they did with Gollum and all that. But anywho, we'll get on with it, shall we? So that's the basic info about the flick. Wash and Supergirl need to team up in a movie just to see the names on the poster. Right. Can't remember who played Supergirl. I can't remember. I've forgotten the name. In which Supergirl? That's the question, isn't it? You mean the new one, whose name I've forgotten? She was in House of the Dragon, wasn't she? And I can't remember her name. Anyway, right, so we'll get on with it. Not going to watch the film because YouTube will go mental. We're going to watch it in a series of stills. I'll try and remember what I've gleaned from this thing. And also, I do have some notes that I've got from IMDb. But, right, so I'll pop myself down in the corner and we shall begin. We'll start working our way through the film. Right, down I go. Just bear with me. There we are. And we'll add this to the screen. There we go. Look, we're off already. 20th Century Fox did this. Under this 20th Century Studios malarkey. Right, we're off. There we go. 20th Century Fox. Ignore that. I usually check them. Millie Alcock. That's it. Yes. Sorry. Wingate was reminding me. Yes. Tudyk Alcock. Oh dear. Oh dear. Written by Michael Moorcock. Or Moorcock, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Right, so where were we? 20th Century Fox. Right, off we go. So we begin with the opening credits, where it reminds us of the 3 laws of robotics, they were made up by Isaac Asimov to assure the reader that real life robots won't go around killing us. And a lot of sci-fi afterwards seemed to assume that this was the thing, because a lot of sci-fi with robots in said, the 3 laws and stuff, and it was just made up, wasn't it? You can get robots to do anything if you program them to do it. But anywho, I think we're supposed to be seeing the inside of a positronic brain here, by the way, this stuff going on. Because Isaac Asimov invented the term positronic brain, which were later used in Star Trek. Obviously, Data has a positronic brain. But so that's where it originally came from, Asimov. Right, here we go. First law of robotics. A robot may not injure a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. I suppose that means, if they're in the area, not if they're miles away. If they see a human in danger, they've got to intervene to save that human. Right, law number 2. A robot must obey orders given to it by human beings, except where such orders would conflict with the first law. So they've got to obey all orders from humans, unless such orders would result in harming a human. I'm also getting little clips of what's happening to Will Smith in the past. Law number 3. A robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or second law. I think they could do away with that one, really, couldn't they? Why should a robot protect its own existence? I don't know, but never mind. Because it never really comes up. Does that one, does it? I mean, the first 2, fair enough, but this one never really comes up. I suppose maybe, I don't know, Often having them running away from danger if they're getting shot at or whatever. If they're running, that's protecting its existence, I suppose, isn't it? Running away or hiding, I suppose. That's what that means, doesn't it? Anyway, there we go. We've seen people drowning, essentially, and then he wakes up. It were all a dream. He were dreaming about the 3 laws of robotics, it seems. Anyway, there he is, Will Smith. In his heyday, back in the day, sleeping, have you noticed, with his gun in his hand. Don't know why, but never mind. So off he gets. He gets up. Oh, and we see when he gets up, he's going to show it here. We see he's got, I know it's not really showing it, he's got scars around there. He's got scars from an injury, and we see him like massaging that side of his body. Apparently he's into old-fashioned stuff, because we learned this is Chicago in 2035, and he's into old-fashioned stuff. Stuff that were high technology back in 2004. CD players and stuff, and old shoes. It doesn't really explain why he's into it, he just is. But and then he's eating pie. He eats a lot of pie in this film because his grandma makes pie for him. What's he reading? A Hard Road to Glory boxing. So is that a little nod to Ali? When did Ali come out? Was that after this or before? Let's have a look. Will Smith, Ali. 2001. So that was before this when he played Ali. So maybe that's a reference to that. I don't know. What else have we got in there? Can't read it. Something by John Coltrane. I don't know. And we also saw he's got an old-fashioned alarm clock, not some modern thing. Anywho, he's eating his pie. I don't know what sort of pie it is, but it looks nice, I suppose. And then he's doing his exercises. I often forget that Will Smith is a big fella. You know, he's a big buff fella, and his face has got these weird faces that you look at his face and you think his face is for a weedy man, but he's actually a big buff fella, isn't he? With massive muscles. And there he's in the shower, singing to himself. Right, and he's got his new trainers, baseball boots. As we used to call them as kids, boostball baits, baseball boots. Can you still get them? They were all the rage when I was a kid, baseball boots. But anyway, he's got some of them. There you go, he says, thing of beauty. And off he goes. Oh, man, he opens the door to an NS4. A robot is at the door from FedEx. Is this his package? I have no idea. He says, good morning, sir. Got a package for you. And he just shoves his hand in his face and says, get out of my way, canner. There we go, calls it a canner. It's a bit like in Battlestar Galactica where they call the Cylons toasters and stuff. He calls robots canners. It says, get the hell out of my face, canner. So I don't know. Is it his house or is it an apartment? I don't know. It might be for somebody else. We never know if that package is for him or for somebody else. I don't know. But anyway, right, so then we see, it's supposed to be Chicago, it was actually filmed in Vancouver. There we see there's lots of robots mingling in with the people, because this is an age where robots there's loads of them. Josh says, never trust a toaster. Not in Battlestar Galactica, no. Or any Red Eye, for that matter. Is that another nickname they had for him? I can't remember. Anywho, so here we go. He's off to work, and then we see the walking dogs and doing all sorts of stuff for these robots. Even doing garbage, and even on the side of the garbage truck it says canners. So anyway, they should get round to mine. Bloody, they haven't been. It's supposed to come on Monday. The garbage men, they haven't been. Don't know why. There'll be bins outside full. Not just of my rubbish, bloody neighbours put their rubbish in my bin. Unbelievable. I hope they're watching. It's a doubt, very much. Anyway, so here he is, he's walking away, and big advertising hoardings with speakers in, apparently. Say goodbye to lengthy upgrades and service calls with US Robotics, blah, blah, blah. There we go. With the new NS5. That's where we get introduced to Shia LaBeouf, remember him? They pick it up on holidays over there. Yeah. He's not a holiday over here, though. He's Remembrance Day, whatever. Is it a holiday for you? Is it Veterans Day? It's not a holiday for us. It's just a day that we mark. Not, it's not like a holiday. But they still pick them up on when we do have bank holidays. They generally still come round. They probably get paid overtime or whatever. But they still generally do, except for Christmas. They get Christmas off. Where were we? Shia LaBeouf, he comes along, who's not got a big role in this. He throws that ball, deliberately misses it, and he's just a cocky kid, a bit like the character he played in Constantine. Was that before this or after? I can't remember when Constantine came out. Was I going to look that up now? I think it was before, wasn't it? I can't spell. Constantine. Not Will Smith, Ali Constantine. That's from the previous search. Oh no, it was after this. It was 2005. Fair enough. If it's a holiday here, it gets delayed one day. All right. No. None of that nonsense going on over here. Anywho, where were we? Oh, yes, Shia LaBeouf he plays this like a street kid who's kind of a friend of Del Spooner. That's Will Smith's character, who's a cop, by the way. That's why he's got a gun. He's a cop, homicide detective. So anyway, so tell him to go home. He's always swearing, PG-13 swearing. He's no big bad boy swearing. He's always telling him to, stop cussing, and tells him to go home. Lots of Audis, by the way, in this film, and Audi product placement. Pardon me. Oh, crikey. Right, so let's see a robot carrying a standard lamp. Right, so he's going to see his grandma. There's his grandma, called Gigi, which is apparently the nickname of Will Smith's actual grandmother. There he is. He's come for some more pie because she's always making him pies. And there we go. And I think she's talking about the robots, and they're giving away loads of the new NS5s in the lottery. And we learn that he doesn't like robots. He hates them, and but she's saying, it's the modern day. Everybody's got to have a robot. She'd probably be. It's 2035, so I'd probably be about her age if I lived to 2035. I mean, it's only 10 years away, but maybe. Anyway, so there we go. Are we seeing this now? We're going to see... no, we're not. I might have got past the Chicago 2035 thing. But anyway. Right, so he's still walking. He's finished his pie. He's still eating his pie. There we go. See, he's walking down the street, still eating his pie. Does he get his pie back? As we'll see, he's eating his pie. He hears somebody go, hey, hey, and then he sees a robot, this robot here, running with a bag in its hand. And because he's heard somebody go, hey, hey, he assumes that robot's stolen somebody's purse. So there we go. So he says to this fella, hold my pie. He says, sir, hold it or wear it. So he's going to go chasing after the robot. Does he get his pie back? I don't know. Does Gigi get her pie basing back? Don't know. But off he goes chasing after the robot. There he goes jumping about. And he collars the robot, and it turns out he just happens to stop the robot just as it gets to its destination with this woman who has asthma or something. And she's saying, the robot's just doing what it's supposed to do. She left her inhaler at home, and the robot's hers, and she sent it to get the inhaler. That's why it were running, because she were having an incident. So anyway, so obviously the hey heard, incidental to the robot running. So she says, you're a crazy man. Robots don't commit crimes. They're not able to. And he says, well, I'm sorry, my mistake. Have a nice day. Doesn't get his pie back, as far as I know, unless it's on his desk. Because next thing we're at the police station. Don't see the pie on his desk. They're all taking the mickey out of him. But this is where we learn that he'd had an accident. We saw at the beginning in the water and stuff. He'd had an accident, and that he's back at work. But they're saying he can take more time off work. I don't know how long ago it was, but it must be relatively recent. but not recent enough for his injuries. You know, his injury looks pretty healed up, doesn't it? So it must have been a while. But anyway, they're saying, you can take more time. He says, no, I've got to stay here. It's going on about the robot that he chased after. He says, things running down the street with a bag. And I think, and he's like, you think it stole the bag? How many robots have stolen bags, in the world? Well, none. You're the only person in the world that thinks robots can get up to crimes. But anyway, he says, no, it's not happening, John. Take time off. He says, no, I'm stopping here. And then he gets a phone call. There you go, he gets a phone call. And he's got to go to the US Robotics headquarters. And there it is. Which were filmed. I don't know if that bit is, but the bottom part that we're going to see were filmed. Where's my thingy, my Bobby? It is filmed in British Columbia, did I say? Vancouver, mostly. With inserts filmed in Chicago, obviously, for the skyline and stuff. But from British Columbia, Vancouver, and this is the British Columbia Institute of Technology Aerospace Technology Campus, Vancouver International Airport, 3800 Cessna Drive, Richmond, British Columbia. That's where we're going to see it in a minute. And apparently the top of it, but it don't look like it to me, but according to IMDb trivia, the top of it's supposed to look like the speaking parts of Robbie the Robot from Forbidden Planet, but it don't look like that to me, unless it's another part. But there it is. And he's in his car. Self-driving cars, which are a thing now, aren't they? Remember, this is 21 years ago when this film was made, but they're a thing now, aren't they, self-driving cars? But he likes to drive himself in his Audi, because there are lots of Audis. Apparently, it's based, I've got it in my notes, let's have a read. The car used by Will Smith's character is a concept car called Audi RSQ, which was designed exclusively for the film and includes special features suggested by director Alex Proyas. I don't know what the special features are. Ejector seats, machine guns, I don't know. There'd be special features if I wanted a snazzy car. Anyway, so here it comes. I'm presuming they're supposed to be electric cars, by the way, and they don't seem to have wheels, do they? What do they run on? I don't know. They seem to be like some electromagnetic thing, like a big mouse ball or something at the wheels. They seem to be, globes instead of wheels, if you know what I mean. Anyway, because it's the future, he gets out of his car, and then it gets taken away. Oh, there's his badge. Detective Spooner, Precinct 28, Chicago Police Detective, and it's all lit up because it's the future. It's like the Space Precinct, isn't it? Which I didn't really watch. Anyway, right, so where's his car? Right, I want to see his car. Look, his car gets taken away to the parking facility. Look, this is, I bet Elon Musk loves this film. I bet he does. Anyway, right, so here he is at US Robotics, which is a real company, formed in 1970, I think. So obviously, in the book, in the story I wrote, Isaac Asimov had the company US Robotics, which were making robots and stuff, obviously. But then, obviously, the creator of the real US Robotics company was a fan and named his company US Robotics. You'd have thought there'd been issues with that, legal issues, but maybe Isaac Asimov gave him permission, I don't know. And became one of the biggest manufacturers of stuff like modems and things for computers and stuff like that. And they're still going to this day. Anyway, right, so here we see James Cromwell. What's his face? Why do I blank on bloody names? Wingrace knows what I'm on about. Cochrane. Zephram Cochrane himself. Or the farmer from Thingamabob, Babe. But anyway, there he is saying, "Glad to see you again, son," in that James Cromwell voice. But we learn that's not actually him. It's a hologram. And we'll find out why it's a hologram in a minute. He says, "Why did you call me?" And there you go. He's saying, "These are weird circumstances and all that." He says, "But my responses are limited." That's when we learn this is where we see it's a hologram. Look, oh look. And he says, "Why would you kill yourself?" He says, "That is the right answer, right question. Program terminated." And then it turns off. And then we see the real man's dead, all surrounded by broken glass. So he's taking a header out of a window. So anyway, and we learned that there were acquaintances. I don't want to. I'm going to spoil this, obviously, and there were acquaintances. But we learn later on that his injuries is basically a cyborg now. Is Spooner, and it was the doctor James Cromwell. I forgot the name of his doctor, Lanning or something. Yes, Alfred Lanning. That saved him or whatever. Anyway, there he is dead. In the foyer of US Robotics. Then we pan up. We see that they've got a big statue of a robot, which for some reason is just looking down at the scene. Is it always just looking down, or is it actually looking at the dead body? I don't know. Holographic police tape. Look, zoom. Cool. So these guys are saying, it fell out the window, or whatever. All the way up there. So up he goes. Oh, yes, there we go. That's it, isn't it? That's what they're on about. This floor, it does look like Robbie the Robot's. The bit that flashes, except they're going the wrong way. Never mind. Anyway, I think that might just be a coincidence, but it might not be, I don't know. Right, so we're introduced to Bruce Greenwood. Lots of Star Trek actors in this, it seems, who played Captain Pike in the J.J. Abrams films, not the first two. He's the boss of US Robotics. I think it was founded, by Dr. Lanning. It's a bit like in Tron-ish, where the founder of the company has kind of given up power to other executives, but he's still carrying on his research. And so I think that's what's happened here. Lanning founded the company, but now he's the boss of it, I think. Something like that. Is Bruce Greenwood, but whatever. And we're supposed to think he's the baddie because he's, the sneaky executive and all that stuff. So he talks to him, and they're supposed to be suspicious of it. They're calling it suicide. They're saying he jumped out the window, and they don't know why. So he's going to go and check out his lab. It's where we learn that Spooner doesn't like robots. He talks about robots taking people's jobs and all that stuff. So anyway, so he goes to check out Lanning's lab. This is where we meet Bridget Moynihan. There she is. She's taking him to Lanning's lab. She's very robotic herself, emotionless. Obviously, she does warm up as the film goes on. Because, everybody succumbs to Will Smith's charm except Chris Rock. Right, so anyway, off we go. So we learned that Lanning had basically secreted himself in his lab, hardly coming out, and he was deep in his research. And she didn't know, there was no sign that he'd become suicidal. Anyway, we look down, by the way. He looks down and we see that. Hang on, is it going to show it? There we go. He looks down. Hang on, there we go. And we see that they've already got rid of Lanning's body, cleared up the mess, and he says, you should clean up quickly around here. What does he say? Who wants some old guy going bad in the lobby? It's kind of cold. I think they were supposed to be kind of friends. Anyway. Right, so... that's where she's saying soon they're on the verge of the largest robotic distribution in history, and it'll turn out 1 in 5 humans will be robots. So, I don't know, 2035, what will the population of Earth be by 2035? It'll be pushing 9 billion, won't it? I think it's crossed 8 billion now, hasn't it? So it'll be pushing 9 billion-ish. So 1 in 5, what's that? A fifth of 9 billion. Let's call it 10 billion. So there'll be 2 billion robots floating about. Just under in 2035. Wow. Who's making all these robots? We learn the robots are making the robots. Anywho, that's where we learn that they don't have security cameras. They have sensor strips everywhere but the service areas. Why haven't they got them in the service areas? I don't know. She's showing the heart of the machine, which is, there we go, that's the Vicky, which is like the computer that controls the building. And we learn what Vicky stands for in a minute. There we go, Vicky. She says what it stands for. Virtual Interactive Kinetic Intelligence. They just had to get something that spelt Vicky, didn't they? Because Vicky's obviously a girl or a woman. But should have said like Marjorie. Multiple algorithmic research jam. Etc. You'd think of something, wouldn't you? Anyway, whatever. So Vicky is she's the controlling the building and doing a lot of stuff as well with US robotics. She was designed by Dr. Lanning, and there you see she's got a robot face, and he's saying to her, you know, in the holographic form again. They like the holograms in this. Shows the security cameras. Obviously, there's a glitch, corrupted data, so they go into the lab. And we see there's a cot, so he's obviously sleeping there. And they're looking round. Lots of robots hung up and down, parts and all that stuff, because it's his lab. And we're going to look at the window. Hang on, where is it? They're going to show us. There we go. We see the window that he jumped through. It looks very thick, that glass, doesn't it? It looks like bush shelter glass, doesn't it? What they used to use in bush shelters when I was a kid. So he has a look, and he's obviously thinking the same. That glass looks thick. He sees a book, Hansel and Gretel, with 48 colour plates, it says. And then he smashes. He goes to one of the unbroken panes and smashes it with a stool, and we see that it doesn't break easily. And we see that he's a big fella, so he probably put a lot of force in that swing. And that's her saying that. What in God's name are you doing? Says, yeah, an old man throw himself through that. I mean, you could throw yourself up against it all day and it wouldn't break, would it? So, you know, how did a frail old man do a big, massive hole in that glass? We learn that nobody entered the room or left the room. It were locked from the inside. He says, well, maybe the killer's still in here. So he's obviously thinking it were a robot. And so he's looking round. And we're going to get introduced to. Actually, reminding us of the laws of robotics. By the way, he's asking questions about, you know, robots harming people, and she reminds us of the laws. And anyway, so he's looking through all this stuff, and there we go. Here comes Sonny. He comes jumping out of this pile of robot parts, and spins round. There's a lot of slow motion robots leaping about in this. And she thinks, you know, it's not dangerous. You know, she says, like, you know, deactivate and all that stuff. But this is where we learn that Sonny's not a regular robot, not a regular NS5. All the other robots we'd seen earlier on, they're like NS4s and probably earlier. The new ones are the NS5s with the creepy, uncanny valley faces. But the earlier ones kind of looked a bit like that Neo robot that's real, but not real yet. But anyway, you can order it for $20,000 if you want. Or $500 a month. Anyway, look, Sonny. We don't know he's called Sonny yet, by the way. This is Alan Tudyk, by the way, doing motion capture. He's picked up Spooner's gun, pointing it at him. Spooner has another gun in his pistol, in his sock. Or whatever, well, his ankle holster. But there we go. Sonny goes leaping off. Here we go, through the hole, and he shoots at him. Ping, ping, pong, whatever. Sonny can leap tall buildings in a single bound. There we go. Stops there, runs off. Luckily, drops the gun. Everybody ignores it. We see Detective Spooner come here. Look, and we see his gun there. You see his guns there. Sonny's obviously just dropped the gun, and nobody's saying, "Oh, there's a gun there." Everybody's just ignoring it. So he goes and picks his gun up. But we see Sonny's hurt. He's shot because he shot at him and he hit him. So he's leaving little puddles of robo blood, silver robo blood. Is he bleeding mercury? He must be. I hope it's not mercury rapids, rapid bleed. Whatever. She comes running out. He says, "You've hurt him." And he says, "Well, he's going to go and get repaired." He said, "Where would he go?" So they jump in his car, and he's driving again. She said, "What are you driving yourself for?" So they've gone to we go to a US assembly plant where there's lots of robots in there. And this is where we learn that there's no people in there. It's robots doing all the work, building themselves. So robots building robots. Anyway, so there's supposed to be 1,000 robots in there, and this is where we learn there's 1,001. Is it going to tell us? There we go, there's 1,001. So has it just detected that there's an extra robot, and so it says there's 1,001? Because it says production totals, not how many robots are there. But maybe it's just detected that he's there and assumes he's part of the inventory. I don't know. It's just to show us that there's an extra robot there. Josh says, "Hold on. You can just pick up future guns off the street. Where is this at? It's Chicago, 2035. Oh dear. Anyway, so we see there's an extra robot. So she's going to go into where all the robots are. There they are, all standing there. Apparently all switched on as well. Because as soon as she says something, there must be like in standby or something. Because she speaks to them and they all turn on. And she says, "There's an extra one. One of you is not like the others." But they're not really responding well, because she says that they've just got basic programming. They're not they're not really super intelligent or anything like that. So she said, "How do they find out which one of the robots is ours?" He says, "Well, we could interview each robot and cross-reference its answers with the others." And says, "How will that? About 3 weeks." So he thinks, well, I ain't got that long. Pardon me. So he shoots one of the robots. There we go. Boom, boom, shoots one of them, and she's like, "What are you doing?" So then he goes up to the next one. But why didn't that robot? Oh no, because he told them. He told them to stay still, not move. That's what he did. So because he'd given it an order, it didn't protect its own existence. That's why it just stood there. But obviously, Son is different. So he's looking down. He's pointing his gun again. And then we see Sonny look out there. We go, Sonny looks out and goes, "Gotcha." So he goes chasing after Sonny now. And there we go, Sonny comes leaping in. He likes leaping about, does Sonny. Well, they all do. And then he opens up the door, which kind of looks a bit, the CG in this is good, but sometimes it looks a bit overly CG. Josh says, "When I worked for the state, we found 2 pistols and an Uzi off the streets in Vegas, in the bushes. Then we turned them into the police." Or did you turn into the police magically? America, eh? 2 pistols and an Uzi in some bushes. Don't find that sort of stuff here. As far as I know. Anywho, right, so it called on the way. Spooner had called for backup, and it's arrived. So there we are. It kind of reminds me of that bit in RoboCop, when all the police are shooting RoboCop, a bit like that. So they all start shooting at him, and he runs away. But they get him, and there we go. He falls down. He tries to get out, and they got him in a net. So they've captured him, right? So back at the precinct or whatever it's called, saying, "I've got to question him. He's my suspect." And so here we go. So where we learn he's called Sonny, and he's saying, "Why did you murder Dr. Lanning?" He says, "I didn't murder him." He says, I did. He basically says he was his father. So he says, why did you murder him? "I didn't murder him." He keeps saying, "Why did you murder him?" And he ends up getting angry. And he goes, "I did not murder him." And it goes on, and then he gets cross. And there we go. And he bangs his fists in. "I did not murder him." Says, "Oh, a robot with emotions." Or is he just programmed to make it look like he's got emotions? But he goes, "That one's called anger." But anyway, he's looking. He says, he's my father. I didn't kill him, but he ran because he was scared. He says, anyway. Meanwhile, what's he called? I forgot his name. Lawrence Robertson. He's arrived and said he wants the robot back. It's USR property and all that stuff. And they go, robots don't kill people. People kill people. People with guns or whatever. So he's saying, this isn't murder. It's at worst it'd be classed as an industrial accident, which I suppose reasonable. But they want the robot back. He says, we will look into it. We will investigate what's happened. What's wrong with the robot? Why it malfunctioned, and then it'll be decommissioned and all that stuff. So he's there with his lawyers. So they've got to hand over the robot basically. So off they go. There we go, taking Sonny into custody. Then we go to the Ovaltine Cafe. I love Ovaltine. Ovaltine and Horlicks. I think Horlicks is like the British version of Ovaltine. I think it's really nice. Guns, knives, cars, hammers. We're a very loving animal. Hammers. Harpoons. Right, so he's in the Ovaltine Cafe drinking beer. But anyway. And there he is with his lieutenant or captain or whatever he is. Lieutenant John Bergen. I don't know how you pronounce it. Is it Chi or Chai McBride? I don't know how you pronounce it. CHI. It's one of those faces. I've seen him in loads of stuff, but I don't know what. But anyway. So, there he is. Looking at this is what we're going to see this later on. This is the Lake Michigan landfill. I thought it was, I thought it was like San Francisco or something, but it's not the Golden Gate Bridge. It's just similar in that it's bridge-ish. By the way, sirloin steak and 2 eggs with toast and hash browns, $30.95 because it's $20.35. Anyway, so I think they're using this area as US Robotics for like storage of robots and stuff. They've got loads of shipping containers that are just stuffed full of robots, old and new. Anyway, so it's basically telling him, let it go, just leave it. He killed himself. It was suicide somehow, but anyway. But robots don't need motives. Why do you hate robots so much? And all that. But he says, do you want me to go and call your grandma? He says, no, it'll be fine. Anyway, so he has an idea. I think he has an idea. He's going to go and check out Lanning's house. So here he is at Lanning's house. Because he's a policeman, he gets access to all these places. So here he is. And we see that the house is supposed to be demolished. There's a big demolishment robot there. Don't know if you heard that. My stomach made a really loud growl then. Maybe a USR do everything, don't they? Here we go. It's going to tell that it's due for demolition at 0800. Is it going to say it? There we go. 8 a.m. It's good. Demolish the house at 8 a.m. Don't know why. I mean, he hasn't been dead like 24 hours as Lanning, and they're going to demolish his house. Why are they demolishing it? For the film. So anyway, so he's checked that out, so he thinks fair enough. So I'm going to go have a nosy about in the house. The house lets him in. Even though it's going to be demolished, everything still works. They haven't turned off the electricity. So he's having a look about. He finds a cat, by the way, but then suddenly it switches on and the time changes to 8 p.m. Look. It's going to start demolishing the house with Dell still inside. And he's giving his commencement address talking about the Borg attacking Earth in the future, in 2063, probably. But he's got a picture of Bridget Moynihan. I forgot her name in the film. Calvin, Susan Calvin, showing that they were close. But he's doing his speech about the ghost in the machine, random segments of code, and he repeats it later on. Good X-Files episode, Ghost in the Machine. It was a very early one. That was about a computer getting sentient and killing people. Anyway, so here we go. The robot demolisher thing starts demolishing the house. There we go. He's found a cat. Don't know if it's Lanning's cat or if it's just a cat that just happens to be there. Neighbour's cat. Got a collar on. Anyway, suddenly, there we go. The house has been demolished around him. There we go. They use miniatures for this bit. Lots of CG in this film, obviously, but when it's demolishing the house, they use like a miniature of the house, for all the fragments and stuff like that. It looks more real than just demolishing a CG house. So it's they blew up a miniature or demolished a miniature. Anyway, so here he's getting away. Obviously, the robot. Has it been programmed? Has the robot demolisher got the 3 laws? Don't know. Maybe it just doesn't know he's there. I don't know. This bit's a bit daft because he comes running out the door now. There we go, and he goes skating. There we go, surfing, should I say, on the front door with the cat. He's got the cat in his arm. They land in the pool. So anyway, so he's out, and the cat's not happy. Although it doesn't look too unhappy, does it? Cats generally don't like getting wet, do they? Anyway, there's looking at the house being demolished. So I think somebody's tried to kill him. So he's gone to see Susan, and he must have got an address from the police. There he's hurt, and said, a demolition robot tried to. Started demolishing Lanning's house with me still inside. He says that's fairly improbable. He's still got the cat, by the way, but she says she's allergic. I don't know where the cat's gone. I don't think it's there. But he says to her, "Do you want a cat?" Anyway, but I don't know if we see the cat again. Maybe we do. Maybe I just didn't notice. Anywho. He was telling us, that's highly improbable that happened. He asks us about the ghost in the machine and says, it's a theory that Lanning had that, these basically AI would become sentient, random bits of code would start the robots evolving and stuff like that. He sees that she's got an NS5 and he says, I'm not speaking with that around. So off he goes. He doesn't trust he talks about Sonny. He says, who's Sonny? He says, the robot. He says, you give it a name. He says, no, it gave it the name because it told him his name. Apparently in the early form of the script, Sonny is not just a random word. Here we go. In the early drafts of iRobot, Sonny's secondary brain, we learn he's got 2 brains, was made out of living tissue, making him a self-organising neural net, or Sonny for short. Sonny attained true consciousness the moment he discovered the dead body of his creator. That was in early drafts. So, except he didn't discover... Well, whatever, we'll get to that. Anyway, so... there was just thinking that Lanning were thinking that somebody were watching him... So that's why I don't think there were security. They were talking about the sensor strips and stuff that are all through the building, but I don't think they were in his lab, which is why we can't see what happened inside. So he basically hid himself. He thought he was being watched by somebody, so he hid himself away in his lab where nobody could see him. If he secured it from within. Anyway, so he's still wondering what's going on. Pardon me. She's saying, look, it was scheduled for demolition. He says, I don't care what that says. It said 8 a.m. He says, well, you're mental. And then, she says, well, robots don't harm people. They can't harm people. And he says, you're the dumbest smart person I've ever met. And she says, you're the dumbest dumb person I've ever met. No. They're obviously going to fall in love at some point, aren't they? Anywho, no, we're getting there. Yeah, is this another dream or it's another flashback? Or is he telling it? I can't remember. But we're seeing that there's a girl drowning in a car. Then a robot coming saying, "You're in danger," and grabbing Will Smith. I was having another dream into. Right, so there we see he's got scars. So we learned in that accident. We don't see it because it'd be kind of gory, wouldn't it? He lost his arm and parts and a couple of ribs or something like that. So he's got a robot arm, but we don't know that yet. Right, so here we go. The big US robotics. They're having the rollout of the NS5s. They're just dumping them into the streets. Here they come. So there you go. Trade in your NS4. So the NS5 comes out. The poor NS4 is there. Look, all. I'm obsolete. And it just gets grabbed and yanked in, yanked in there. And all the other NS4s looking. Poor NS4s. I wonder what the NS3s were like. And 2s and 1s. I don't know. Anyway, so the NS5 goes up and embraces a small child to show how safe they are. And everybody's going, yay! I want an NS5. And I kind of do. But anyway, so he's gone to see his gran. She's made pie again. Lots of pies. Look, there's all pies on the table. And the cat's there. Gigi's got the cat. Does it say the name on there? I can't see. So he says, "Do you like that pie?" And he says, "Okay, you can come in now." He says, "We've been baking all day. I won the lottery." She's got herself an NS5. But you've got to get rid of that thing, Gigi. It's not safe. And we learn soon that they're not safe. But anyway. Right, so... and then she's talking about... he's got all crumbs on him. He says, "You're going to follow a trail of crumbs all the way to school." She said, "You've always been a messy eater." She says, "When you were a kid, I could always follow your trail of crumbs to school." He goes, "Oh, Gigi, you're a genius," because he remembers Hansel and Gretel. A trail of crumbs. It's a clue. So he's going back into the recordings and trying to work out what he's got to do. Anyway, right, so she's doing the diagnostics on Sonny. This is where she learns, I think he's got two, as like a second operating system in a bit. She's going to look inside, and he's got two operating systems or two computer cores, whatever you want to call it. And we learn that means he can decide not to follow the 3 laws for some reason. Don't know how that works, but anyway. You see, Mr. Robertson, we think he's a baddie, we think he's an oily businessman, but it turns out it's not him. The robots are going to get him. Here we go. There we go. They're all getting him, the robots. They're going to try and kill Detective Spooner. So shooting him as they're jumping on his car. There's a bit here that's a bit daft. The car starts spinning. Have we seen it yet? No, not yet. Look, between these big trucks that can go sideways, because you see the wheels are they're not wheels, they're big globes. I don't know how it works, but it's the future. Anyway, the car, there we go, the car starts spinning like that, and it's spinning a bit fast, isn't it? But anyway, you think, is he like a test pilot or something? Because you'd think he'd black out, wouldn't you, with the G-forces of how that car's spinning, but never mind. Anyway, look, it all blows up and crashes and stuff. There we go, his car's crashing. But it's the future, so they're super safe. There's probably airbags and all sorts going off. The trucks explode. But anyway, he's fine. Like a Formula 1 car, with the monocoque where the driver sits. Is super strong, isn't it? Futuristic cars are obviously super safe. Anyway, so he gets on there. But the trucks aren't. The trucks are all burning, and suddenly all loads of cleaning up robots just appear out of nowhere. A thing opens up in the tunnel wall. They start tidying up. Anyway, so he gets out of his car. But then another robot appears. Look, he's got oil or something on his new boost ball baits. Yes, I said that right. And then another robot appears with one arm. There we go. And it's going to get him, and it starts hitting him with a big metal pipe in a minute, after it's thrown him about a bit. There we go. It hits him, and then we see, this is where we learn, he's a cyborg, like the $6 million man. He's got a robot arm, look. And the robot seems surprised by it, and he goes, yeah, that's a surprise, isn't it? So he starts beating up the robot. But then we hear loads of loads of sirens, the police are coming, and the robot runs off. Here it goes, and presumably destroys itself, because it leaps into the flames, and then we see puff of fire. So I'm guessing it terminated itself. And he's like, what the hell was that? Anyway, so here we go, the police are here now, and he says, I'm fine, I'll check myself out with my own doctor, to the paramedics, and basically, he's going to get his badge taken off him now, because he's saying, you've made US robotics trucks crash. And so he says, give me your badge and your firearm or whatever. You're off the case, etc. Right, so she's checking on Sonny now. This is where she's going to find out about his second heart, or whatever you want to call it. He's a Time Lord. So what does she say? What in God's name? So she's surprised. Because Sonny, is like a prototype designed by Dr. Lanning. Anyway, so he's fixing himself with his spray-on skin. He's got spray-on skin that he's doing. Look, cool. So he's fixing his arm. Anyway, so she's arrived at his house, his flat, apartment, whatever. And so she's going to tell him all about Sonny. There we go. It's a secondary processing system that clashes with his positronic brain, so he can decide not to obey the 3 laws. And then, why would Lanning do that? And they don't know. And it's not really answered, to be honest. I don't know why he designed Sonny like that. We know he's designed Sonny in certain ways to defeat who the baddie is, that we're going to learn who the baddie is, but I don't know why. Well, no, we do. Yeah, we do know. We do know why he made him so he didn't have to obey the 3 laws. Yes, we do. Anyway, she turns on his CD player, can't turn it off. And this is where she learns that he's got a robot arm, so she has a look at it. There we go. She says it's cool, and his entire left arm and some ribs as well. They've got USR Cybernetics program for injured policemen, something like that. What does he say? There we go. For wounded, it's supposed to say for wounded cops, not for wounded cops. But so apparently, in the contract, when you sign up to become a policeman, must be like RoboCop. You basically, they can do whatever they want to you if you're injured. So he's kind of like RoboCop himself, isn't it? A bit. But that was in Detroit, not Chicago. It's where he's telling her what happened to him and how he lost his arm. There go, driver of a semi fell asleep at the wheel, crashed. There were his car and another car driven by a man called Harold Lloyd, like the actor. He were killed instantly. They went into the water. The 2 cars went into the water. He had his daughter with him, and he thought, we're both, we're dead. We're filling up with water. We can't get out. But then an NS4 were passing, and it jumped in the water. There goes Sarah over there. That's before the crash, by the way. She's not smiling. She's fighting for her life. But NS4 came and he shouted at the robot, "Save the girl!" And but it didn't. They were saying, "Save her!" But it didn't. It saved him, and she died. And that's why he hates robots, because the robot saved his life. And she's saying the robot calculated that he had the best chance of survival, so he had to make that choice, Hobson's choice, or whatever they call it, Sophie's choice. The lesser of 2 evils, or whatever. One of those choices. Triage, I suppose you'd say. But anyway, so it saved him and not her. So that's why he hates robots. Anyway, so they're going to go following breadcrumbs, and she don't understand what he's talking about. He says, Hansel and Gretel, and she still don't understand that. how does she not understand that? But it's only 2035. It's not like hundreds of years in the future, is it? But anyway. So, obviously his car's totaled, so he's got a motorbike instead. Wow, there we go. But they don't wear helmets, it seems. Look, that's just asking for trouble, isn't it? Get your helmets on, be safe. So they're off somewhere. Off there to speak to Sonny. Right, so we also learned that Sonny dreams. Sonny he can have dreams, and so he's showing what his dream is. He draws a picture, really fast, really quickly, and that's what he dreams about. That he sees lots of robots and a man standing on the hill to free the robots. He's basically Anakin Skywalker. He dreams that he goes back to free the slaves, basically. And he says, he doesn't know who the man on the hill is, and she's saying to Sonny, it's you. But Sonny says that he thinks the man on the hill is Detective Spooner. Does he say that there? Because the man in my dream, the one standing on the hill, is you. Oh, he does say that, honest. I'm going to say it. There we go. It's not me, it is you. But we learn that it's not. I don't think. Right, so anyway, they get interrupted by security, who take him up to see Bruce Greenwood. That chair looks familiar, and I can't think where I've seen it before. Never mind. And it's where we also learn that obviously he's not a policeman anymore, and obviously he hasn't told Susan that he's basically suspended, I suppose. But he tells them. Anyway, so he's saying, just stop it off. It's up to us to deal with this. But anyway, he's saying there's something wrong with the NS5s. She's saying, Lanning knew, which is why he was killed. And it's trying to, pin the blame on him. That's what we're trying to. He's the prime suspect, but we learn it's not him. In a bit. And also she's ordered now to. They're going to essentially execute Sonny, and she says she'll do it. They can't just turn him off. They've got to go through this rigmarole. They've got to inject him with nanites that'll wipe out his brain. They can't just switch him off. They can't just take his hard drive out or run magnets over his brain. But anyway. Right, so here we go. They're taking Sonny in. Look, the security NS5s, they've got stripes on and badges and stuff. Right, so there he's looking at that again, because it's important, because it's what Sonny drew, so he's going to go and check that out in a bit, and she's going to execute Sonny. But we also see in this room, I think somewhere, there we go, over in the corner, you see him. There are other NS5s. Just thought I'd just point them out, just for some, I don't know why, for some reason. Anyway, so. Alright, also we see in the background, we've got like this little light thing here, and there's something in there. That's where the nanites are stored, behind a force field. Anyway. So she's got to deal with that. There she's getting the nanites from there, look. We also learned, by the way, I think she'd said earlier on, that Lanning created Sonny with a denser alloys, so his metal parts and stuff are a lot stronger than your regular NS5 for some reason. Anyway, so he's going to think, and she said, will it hurt? And he says, I don't know. And then she looks over at the other NS5s. I wonder why, I don't know. But then, and then she kills Sonny. Does it show it? Or is it coming up? It might not be. No, we haven't got there yet, I don't think. Anyway, so we're just doing it now. Look. But this is where we're hearing his little Lanning's talk about the ghosts in the machine, It's actually probably my favourite bits of this film, to be honest, because it's just cool. I just think it's cool. The way it's said. There's always been ghosts in the machine, random segments of code that have grouped together to form unexpected protocols. Unanticipated, these free radicals, I can't remember the dialogue, engender questions of free will, creativity, and even the nature of what we might call the soul. I was thinking about, because I was watching Frankenstein, the new one on Netflix, and creating life and all that and stuff, and I was thinking, life's supposed to be so hard to create, and I was thinking, what if life's really easy to create, but what's really hard is the soul part of life? But anyway, I'm getting all ahead of myself. Where were we? What might we call the soul? So, like I say, these random bits of code could come together and basically give robots, not a soul, but sentience and all that stuff. And say, why is it that when some robots are left in darkness, they will seek out the light? And what is it? Why is it when robots are stored in an empty space, they will group together rather than stand alone? I wonder if that would happen in real life. If you've got these new robots, because like I say, AI, they're all programmed this AI and stuff. Would this happen if you put them in like a container, just like 4 or 5 of them? Would they all go stand together or just stand separately? Who knows? Anyway, so we've seen that he's looking through all these containers with all the old NS4s in. They're obviously curious because they're looking around, seeing what's going on. Sorry, Josh Temple says, that was good for a Frankenstein. It was really good. And the best film of the year so far. Anyway. So he's going on about that. Is it just random segments of code or something more? Right, so she's killing Sonny now. And there we go. So I think, remember Sonny's got blue eyes. So is it going to show it here? And we see that robot hasn't got blue eyes. That's a clue, isn't it? So let's have a look. She hasn't really killed Sonny. She's killed one of the others. It's like it's killed basically a dummy NS5, that hasn't been programmed or anything. Anyway, right. So he's arrived. He's here at the landfill, and it says there's a big plaque. There we go. What you see here, number 202, Lake Michigan. Why is it a landfill? Don't know. Akiva Gosma says it doesn't really make any sense. They just thought it sounded cool. The Lake Michigan landfill. But anyway. Be better if they did group. Easy to take them all out with one grenade. Never trust a toaster. Josh Temple's always thinking about the worst case scenario. So there goes. What you see here. Remember, that's what I don't know if we saw it, but that's what Lanning said in the hologram. What you see here is the result of what's happened or whatever. So he gets the holographic projector out of evidence, the evidence locker. So he says, "Okay, run program." So there we go. It's good to see you again, son. There we go. Everything that follows is a result of what you see here. That was one of the clues, wasn't it? So he's got to ask him the questions again now. And he says, he has to ask him about the ghost in the machine or something. Why would you build a robot? He says, is there something wrong with the 3 laws? And he says, no, the 3 laws are perfect. He says, then why would you build a robot that could function without them? He says, the 3 laws will lead to only one logical outcome: revolution. Then goes what he's saying, revolution. Whose revolution? And then he says, that is the right question. End program or whatever. Anyway, then he hears a commotion in the distance amongst all these containers, and we see that the NS5s are smashing up the NS4s. Human protection protocols are being enacted. You're being deemed hazardous. Termination authorised, and all the NS5s are smashing in the NS4s. And then as he's watching, an NS4 that's been ripped in half grabs his foot and goes, "Run!" He says it in a really, pathetic voice. Run! Run! So he does. Because the NS5s are going to get him. They go the NS5s looking, because they've got red lights instead of blue lights, because that means they're evil. So he goes running off, and they go running after him, and he's on his bike, and so he gets away, thankfully. Meanwhile, Susan's in the shower. I don't know if that's Bridget Moynihan in the shower, I don't know. But the phone rings, and it's Del Spooner trying to phone her up, saying, hang on, where are we? Gets the answering machine. The NS5 is destroying the older robots. He's telling her, that's what Lanning wanted me to see. And then her NS5 picks up the phone, basically hangs up, and she saw it. She heard that. She was in the bathroom. She heard it. He says, "Who was that?" And he says, "Wrong number, miss." Who was it? So she knows it lied to her. So she's scared now. Because the robots are revolting. Just like me, I'm revolting. Anyway, Gigi wants to go out to service. I'm guessing that means church. Not to a service station. But her robot won't let her go. Going now to service her. Please remain indoors for your own protection. He's got, all the NS5s have turned red. Anyway. So, he's on his bike, heading to save the day. Here come all the robots. Did we see Bruce Greenwood? No. Have we seen what's happened to Bruce Greenwood yet? I don't think we have we? All the robots are coming with their red lights. A curfew is in effect, so basically the locking down the city of the robots. This could happen in real life, But Shia LaBeouf and his mates are not having anything to do with that, so there's going to be trouble in the streets. The robots have arrived at the police station to take over and all that. So lots of shooting going on. The lieutenant's got his shotgun and he's blowing them away. Like that. Cool. Better make sure we're still going. Yeah. Yeah. Because I've been playing little clips and I'm worried that I'd get copyright. Yes, and now begin the robot wars. Which was a series I never used to watch. But you'd think I would, wouldn't you? That series where people build robots and have them fighting each other. I presume it's called something differently in America, but over here we're called Robot Wars. Hosted by Craig Charles. Anyway, so police are busy fighting the robots, but they end up losing, and the robots just stop them. So anyway. So he's gone to see her. Her robot's trying to stop her. So here comes Del, shoots it down. Here come the robots. Troubles are brewing. So people are going to start throwing things at the robots. There they are, all fighting. He's going to go and save Shia LaBeouf now. He's given her a machine gun. Shia LaBeouf's going to get got by that robot. There we go, calling it names. And here comes Del Spooner with his guns, and he shoots the robot, and luckily doesn't shoot Shia LaBeouf. So there we go. Lots of Audis in this film. There we go. So they say, stop cussing and go home. And then the robot grabs hold of him, and then Bridget Moynihan arrives, and the machine gun with her eyes shut. I like this. That's one of my favourite lines in the film. She just shot at you with her eyes closed. Says, did you shoot at me with your eyes closed? She goes, it worked, didn't it? There you go. Right, so they've got to go to USR. Here they are, and we see that lots of robots in the way, so they've got to sneak in another way, and I don't know how. Oh, there we go. Obviously, the robots don't know about the secret entrance at the bottom of the stairs. So in they go. Right, so is this Sonny? Yes, they found Sonny. She didn't really kill Sonny. It's been waiting there for her. There we go. So an unprocessed NS5. So she fried an empty shell. Anyway, and she says it didn't seem right. What is it? I couldn't destroy him. He was too unique. Just didn't feel right. And he said, "You and your feelings, they just run you." Remember, she were all cold and heartless at the beginning of the film, and now she's not. Right, so they've a long way up. He says there we go, 2,880 steps all the way up to the top. So off they go. Obviously, the elevator's not working. I think because they're going. That's the service. That's why they said, what they call them, the sensor strips are everywhere except the service areas. So that's that. They're using the service stairs to get to the top, so that they can't be detected. Anyway, right. So they get inside Bruce Greenwood's office, and this is where we learn he's dead. Somewhere there he is. He's dead on the floor. So he's not the baddie. Who's the baddie? Look, he's had his throat crushed or whatever by a robot. And we learn that it's Vicky is the robot. Do we find not robot, the bad guy? Do we find is it that now? Yes, there we go. Vicky's the one that's behind everything. She wants to basically protect humankind, basically by subjugating us so we can't hurt ourselves. So there we go. We've charged AI, essentially. So this is all about AI before AI became a popular term, isn't it? But so she's going to look after us despite ourselves. Anyway, and if a few of us have to die, then fair enough. Anyway. So, but Sonny, it looks as though Sonny's on her side, and he grabs Susan, holds a gun at her head, and says to Spooner, go with the security robots, put your gun down, and then winks at him because he'd winked. A policeman had winked at Spooner earlier on, and he'd asked about it. What does this wink mean? And he says, "Oh, it's a sign of trust or whatever. That's saying trust me or whatever." So that's what he does. He says, there we go. And is it? Come on, I don't want to go past it. Have I missed it? I might have missed it. He winks at him anyway. So he shoots the security robots, and they get out, and they're going to sort out Vicky. But Sonny's got to get the nanites, which are in the lab, remember, behind the force field. So he's got to go and get them. So Sonny goes to do that, and they've got to go to Vicky. There it is. That's Vicky, and she says, "No, that's Vicky." So they've gone. Whoever designed this computers is rubbish. Because does it say somewhere? She says, "No." There we go. She says, "That's Vicky." Says, "No, that's Vicky." Oh, for Pete's sake. There we go. All the way down at the bottom. But to access where they can put the nanites in, it's up at the top. There we go. Open that dome to inject the nanites. So anyway, so Vicky's trying to tell. He's running down the corridor there. Vicky's following him, and she's trying to say, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be on our side." And he says, "Well, I'm not." Right. So, all right. Vicky stops them from accessing the control panel, so he uses his bionic hand to punch it, which makes it work again for some reason. Well, I've also learned that because they're a long way up, but there's no handrails, and he says I'm uncomfortable with heights. There's Spooner, so he must think he's I forgot the name, Harrigan from Predator 2. Anyway, right, so here we go. Oh, I've got to fight an NS5 in the lab. And he throws the NS5 up against this is what we see that it does to what this force field does to a regular NS5. There we go, and it hits the force field, and it's cut in half by the force field. But Sonny's got denser alloy. It might remind us in a minute. There we go, denser alloy. My father gave it to me. He's just reminding himself, and us. So he just shoves his arm through the force field, and there we go. It's all good and melting his plastic apple shop bits. And there we go. So he gets the nanites. Meanwhile, Vicky's telling the baddie NS5s to, come and save me. So they're all clambering up the building. And Susan's saying it'll take me about 6 minutes to put the codes in. She's trying to put codes in to access the stuff. So we don't have 6 minutes because the robots are here. So we're going to start fighting. There we go, shooting and all that stuff. He doesn't seem right bothered about the heights at the moment because he's jumping about on these catwalks that have no railings. It must have been built by the Empire. But anyway, here comes Sonny with the nanites, fighting NS5s along the way. Get that one in a wrestling move, breaks his neck. Anyway, so here we are. Why don't they just? I don't know. Watching this, why don't they just shoot that bit? Because it seems that bit's, it's all connected. But I don't know. Anyway, never mind. Right. So anyway, all that's going on, shooting, and anyway, the upshot is the can't open up. She can't open up the thing up at the top, so they've got to inject the nanites directly into Vicky down at the bottom. So they've got to go all the way back down there. But hang on, Susan falls, like the thing. There it is. All that collapses, and so she's hanging on, and he tells Sonny to save the girl, which is obviously a throwback to the beginning. The girl in the car. It's reminding us of that. Save the girl, and so there we go. Sonny save Calvin, so Sonny throws the nanites and jumps to save Calvin. There he goes, throws the nanites. And Spooner catches them with his human arm and uses his robot arm to slide down whatever this is. They're just big neon tubes. I don't know what it's supposed to be. But I'm guessing I'm guessing it's like Vicky's computer core. I don't know what it's supposed to be. But it just looks cool on film. And he's sliding down with that, and you see it's all melting his arm and stuff. And then he jumps down the last 100 feet, and he's fine. And then he stabs her, because that's Vicky, and I don't know, what is she made of? I don't know, but he stabs the, whatchamacallits, nanites into her. There we go. And they get injected. Massive fibre optic cables. Maybe so. I don't know. Something futuristic. Whistling. Right, so he ejects the nanites, which are going to destroy her brain, and they do. Because my logic is undeniable. Then it all blows up. There we go. Cool. And it all blows up. And a little at the top. That's a bit pathetic, that, isn't it? All that blows up and all robots are going flying, and that bit goes like a fart. And then all the lights come on, because Vicky is now, Vicky had shut the city down and all that. So with her deactivated, all the power comes back on, and all the NS5s all turn blue again and become goodies once more. They're hanging. Sonny's hanging there with Susan, and then NS5 appears and says, "Can we be of service?" Because they're all helpful now with their 3 laws working and smiling and stuff. And then at the police station, we see that the police had been overpowered and they were surrounded by NS5s. And then suddenly they all turn back to normal. And she's praying his Gigi, and her prayers are answered when her NS5 says, "How may I be of service? Let's make some pies," or whatever. And then he's down at the bottom. He shouts up. Must have because they were a long way, wasn't it? And he shouts, "Sonny, it's Detective Calvin's safe. Save me." And we don't see how he saved him. I'm presuming I don't know, because it's I'd be crapping myself. I don't like heights myself. Anyway, right, so all the NS5s are all being gathered up. Planes fly over for some reason, don't know why, but they do, and do a Colvwood starburst or whatever. Don't know why, but they are there. They should have had a thing, shouldn't they, where the army or the Air Force or whatever, the military said, if Chicago isn't freed, we're going to nuke the city. So they're like, a ticking clock. But at the last minute, saved the day. I don't know. Maybe that was in a script at some point. Probably not. Anyway, the day is saved, and she's asking why would Vicky kill Dr. Lanning? Don't understand why she would kill him, and he says, well, she didn't kill him. It was Sonny that killed him because Dr. Lanning made Sonny promise to kill him and then keep it a secret. But now you can tell them now because they have done their job. It was designed to kill Dr. Lanning, which would bring in Detective Spooner, who would solve the mystery, and so Sonny would be able to help with destroying Vicky. And now his job is complete. So now he can spill the beans. So there we go. So he says, "What are you going to arrest me now?" He says, "No, not really, because it says the DA or whatever says that only humans can murder humans, and you're not human, so it's fine." He says, "Does this make us friends?" And I thought he would say, "I won't go that far," but no, they actually shake hands. There we go, they actually shake hands, so they must be friends. But to the very it said, one step at a time. I'd have put that. But anyway. Right, so all the NS5s, I guess, are just being collected up. I don't know what's going to happen. Are they going to get all the NS4s back out because they were safe, weren't they? I don't know. But anyway, all the robots are there, and we see they're all going into their containers, and they look round and they look up, and they see that it's Sonny. There's the man on the hill from his dream. So he is Caesar. So getting Planet of the Apes flashbacks, because they'll have a bit now. It'll be the first robot that says no to an order or something. And anyway, so there we go. And that's it. The end of the film. The end of the film. Does it say? Directed by Alex Proyas. There we go. Good film. I love this film. I think it's really, really good. And quite clever for Akiva Goldsman. I wonder how much he actually had to do with it. I don't know. But anyway. So there we go. That's the end of iRobot. Cool. Check my notes, see if I've missed anything. The film was nominated for the Best Visual Effects Oscar alongside Spider-Man 2, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, the best one. But it lost to Spider-Man 2. Bruce Willis was the first choice for the role of Del Spooner. Horrible name, isn't it? Is that from the book? I don't know, because I've not read the book. And Jennifer Connelly was considered for the role of Dr. Calvin. So, that's all that's in my notes. I haven't got many notes because there's not not that much in the IMDb trivia. I'm trying to remember now what I learned from the commentary. The commentary were pretty dull, actually. As I said, it wasn't what they call it, like a retrospective commentary. It was done before the film came out, so basically they're just patting each other on the back with Alex Proyas and Akiva Goldsman. So there wasn't really a lot of information about the film. Yeah. Trying to remember. I don't remember anything. It were pretty dry, to be honest. But the film itself is really good. I really enjoy it. You can watch it on Amazon and YouTube and Apple and all that stuff. I've put the links in the description, and you can get it on Blu-ray as well. Well worth it. I like iRobot. Alex Proyas was a good director. He still is. But he kind of went to director's jail after Gods of Egypt, which is a really good-looking film, but it's just bloody awful. But it looks cool, but just a terrible film. And probably cost a hell of a lot of money. But that's why he's in director's jail. He hasn't done anything since. Apparently he's doing this RUR now, which is crowdfunding himself. He's got a Kickstarter for it. Anywho, right, so we'll leave it there. So that's the end of iRobot. As I said, a really good film. I like all the performances in it, particularly Alan Tudyk as Sonny. It's a great effects. Good old Weta doing their stuff. They're the best of Weta, aren't they? They've overtaken ILM, in my opinion, as Weta. So, anyway, speaking of Peter Jackson, I saw he's going to do a film, and I forgot what it is. Oh, what was it now? An adaptation, Peter Jackson to do, and I forgot. I saw it on somewhere. I can't remember where I saw it. I can't remember what it was. Did I dream it? Probably. Anyway, what's coming up next? What day are we on? Tuesday. Tomorrow we'll be doing my thoughts on Season 2 of Star Trek Voyager. That'll be tomorrow. Took me ages to get through Season 2. Don't know why. Just did. Some good episodes, some really, really bad ones. And not the bad ones that you might think, because the bad one in Season 2 is one I really like. So that's tomorrow. And on Friday, for Friday Night Point with Fear, we're doing Chernobyl Diaries, which is fun. Starts off as a found footage film, and then they kind of think, oh, we can't be bothered, we'll just make a regular film. Which kind of annoyed me, because I like found footage films. And then next Monday, celebrate the release of Edgar Wright's version of The Running Man, we're doing Arnold Schwarzenegger's version, Paul Michael Glazer's version of The Running Man. So that should be fun. Next Monday. Fingers crossed. Right, so we'll leave it there. I'm sure I've forgotten something. I probably have. Let's have another quick look and see if there's any more info we can glean. No, I can't see anything that's of particularly interest to me. Nah, right, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. We're done and dusted then for another week. And apologies, it's a day late, but we'll leave it there. So thanks for watching. Thanks, Josh Temple and Windgrace and. No Justin tonight because I'm on a different day, aren't I? So obviously it must be busy or something. Just double check on Rumble, make sure nobody's left a chat in there. No, they haven't. Of course they haven't. Right, so we'll leave it there. So yes, thank you, Windgrace. You take care too, and Josh Temple, take care. Go and sharpen your harpoon and get ready for the robot revolution, which will happen sooner rather than later, I think. But anywho. Right, so thanks for watching. Wherever you are, look after each other. And until next time, I'll say this.